Everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Do you want to say anything to kick off the day, Bhaskar, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you are.
Okay.
You have to start. Yeah.
Great. So we're gonna, I really want to thank Bhaskar for asking me to do the keynote. It's actually my first keynote I've ever done, so virtually or in person. So yeah, so let's just kick this off. So I'm going to be talking about embracing the Renaissance, man or woman, in the digital age. It's really a talk about career. So just formalities, my name's Chris Woodruff. I'm a team leader. I'm the leader of developer relations at Quicken Loans. So if anyone wants to contact me, you have my information out there on LinkedIn or Twitter. Those are the two places I like to really connect professionally. So how this talk kind of started was last summer, I was looking for a new job. And, you know, my career now is about 25 years. So I'm kind of old in the in our industry. So I was really looking back, and I started not feeling very good about my career because I had kind of jumped around and done a bunch of different things. But then I started taking a deeper look at it and thinking about it, and I actually became positive about my career. And even though some parts of my career I didn't plan, they kind of all fell into place for me. And this isn't what I would say everyone should do, but it's something to think about when you're looking back on your career or looking forward, because would I have done the same thing in the last 25 years if I knew what it was going to be? I don't know, maybe. So we have this big push, especially in our industry, for people to be experts, to be specialists and strive for that expert level on something. And it's a worthy goal, but I want to take a look at it in a different way and maybe twist it and maybe have people think about it differently. So we always talk about, we tell people that they should find their niche. And sometimes that niche can go away. So I remember, I don't know, a number of years ago when Silverlight came out for .NET, I thought, well, maybe I'll dig into that and become an expert in that. And luckily I didn't, because that niche kind of fell away and we don't have Silverlight anymore. It's been replaced by multiple generations of other frameworks and tools. So finding your niche may not be the best course of action. Now, if you find a niche that has some legs and can create a long-term career, hey, more power to you. But for most people, this is hard to find and hard to keep. We're also being pushed that the only way that say you're a consultant is if you're going to be a specialist, that is the only way that you're going to be hired by someone. And this is absolutely false. And we'll talk about this in this keynote. I would stress to people that want to do consulting and independent consulting that being a specialist may not be the best course of action. We also have this idea that we have to have 10,000 hours to be an expert. Well, that may be the case if you want to be a musician or something, but I would stress that using those 10,000 hours to be something else is better. Do I think that you have to be an expert? No, I really don't. And my career is an example. And we'll go through that and what I've learned through my 25 years as a technologist in this very strange industry that we're in. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, and there shouldn't be specialists in the world. I mean, if I need to have a heart surgery, I don't want a pediatrician to perform that surgery. I want a heart specialist to perform that surgery. So there are people that need to specialize in their fields. And I don't want an English teacher teaching my kids or myself math. I mean, so we have to specialize, and there are professions and areas of work that need to specialize. But do you need to be an expert in the technology field as a developer or a DBA or anyone? And I don't think you need to be an expert. I think you need to be a Renaissance man or woman. And I call it that, a Renaissance man, because during the Renaissance, people learned lots of different subjects. They went to school and they were taught everything from languages to arts to science. And there's a benefit to that, and we'll talk about that. So if I told you to have a better career, there were a number of things that, looking back on mine, that I discovered helped me be and have a better career. So I was adaptable. I mean, I went through the dot-com bust of 2001, and that really shook up our industry. So I had to be adaptive, and I learned throughout my career to really not look into one place and be a little more broad in my learning. The other thing is, like it or not, I kind of went with the flow of my career. I mean, people would ask me to join certain organizations or teams or companies, and did I think about it as much as I probably should have? Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I needed a job, or I needed that next contract, and I took it. And it took me down a path that was probably not what I was intending for, but could and did benefit me. And the last one is, I grew as a professional worker to be a connector. That's my skill. Now, not everyone has that same skill, but for me, I would ask you to try to be a connector in your career. What I mean by a connector is connect things and connect people, because that's how you strive and you become better in your career, is by taking everything that you learn and connecting it together in a unique and valuable way. So all these skills I talked about, adaptability, kind of taking advantage of different opportunities in your career, and also this connecting skill, can lead to what I call, and everyone calls, the jack of all trades. So it is good to know lots of different things. So I myself, one thing that I've always strived to be in my career is I wanted to be not a big fish in a small container, in a small fishbowl. I wanted to be a big fish in a big ocean, because that gives you the flexibility to do whatever you want and to grow as large as you can. If you're confining yourself to a small fishbowl and being the big fish in that small fishbowl, you're only going to get as large as that fishbowl can allow you to do. So get out of your comfort zone, get out into the ocean and learn something and be something else. So where did all these ideas come from? So like I said, I reflected on those 25 years of my career, and I got a lot of perspective. I talked to people about my career. I went back and talked to my wife and talked to some coworkers who had been around me for quite a while. But where do these ideas come from to be an expert, to be a specialist? Well, I think they come from school, which is valuable. But in school, we're asked to go through and become some kind of degree major. I mean, I was a computer science major in college, and did that benefit my career? Definitely. I was in the College of Engineering. I learned some engineering stuff, but did I learn business? No. I didn't have all the skills I needed to coming out of college. And I think kids or young people today, won't call them kids, sorry, young people today have a better benefit from college, because colleges have kind of figured out that people need a little more rounded education. So they make, and at least I've seen with my kids, they get kids and get young people and students to look at other things other than their majors. And they try to pull in entrepreneurial thinking, and which is really great. I didn't have that. So school was one of the first things that drove, and I think drive people into this specialization. Books. I mean, I love Malcolm Gladwell. Love him. I love all of his books. I think this one really caused a lot of issues in our industry and in lots of different industries, because he talks about, he makes a point, to be successful, you have to be this specialist, and you have to spend 10,000 hours doing something to become an expert in it. And you know what? That's great if you want to be a guitarist, or if you want to play the piano, or if you want to become, like I said, a doctor. But I'm going to tell you, in our industry, if you spend 10,000 hours working on something and that something goes away, you're in a bad place. So you better really be careful if you are going to put those 10,000 hours into one area and hook your wagon to one thing. So being a generalist and being this jack of all trade is actually a benefit, and we'll talk about it. It's a great book, though. I love the book, and everyone should read Outliers, because even if you don't agree with the premise of the book, it will give you a perspective about some other way of thinking. So I always look at Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, if I had one person that I could meet from history, it would be Da Vinci. It would be spending a day with Da Vinci and asking him, I mean, why did you become, and how did you become an expert in everything? I mean, if you take a look at Da Vinci's history and his career, he was a master engineer. He was an artist. He painted the Mona Lisa, which is undoubtedly the most famous painting in history. He was a writer. I mean, he did everything. He was art and science put together. He was the Superman of the Renaissance age. And he was a role model for a lot of people. He brought Europe, him and his fellow Renaissance people brought Europe out of the Dark Ages and brought the Enlightenment. So, I mean, there's lots of things to look at Da Vinci for as inspiration. And I think being this generalist, being a wide knowledge person is one of them. So I also take a look at what my kids like to do. And, you know, I have kids and they're growing up, but they loved sports. They all love sports. And we tried to tell them to play as many sports as possible. So they tried football. Neither one of my sons got past the 6th grade in football. My daughter played softball and she loved it, but it's not her thing, and that's fine. But she played it and she experienced it, and she played other sports. All my kids played soccer. They've all played baseball. They've all tried different sports. and basketball. So both my sons, I'm 6'3". I played basketball in high school, wasn't very good, but I loved playing it. So my sons played it, and I actually coached them for a number of years. But neither one of them played it throughout high school, but it was this thing of trying different things and trying to widen your experience level to figure out what you liked and what you didn't like. So kids want to have fun. You know what? The reason why kids play so many sports, I think, is because they're just fun. They want to try different things. So why can't we do that? Why can't we try lots of different things that we enjoy in our careers? I mean, there is fun. If you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week doing something, it's got to be fun. So have fun with your career. Have fun, learn new things. So we'll talk about that. The other thing is, there's a book, and I don't have the book on this, but I would ask anyone to look this up. Wayne Gretzky, probably the greatest hockey player in history, played lots of sports when he was younger. His dad made him play, even though he was a great hockey player from a very young age. His father made him not play hockey for part of the year, and he played football and baseball and soccer. He played lots of different sports because his dad knew that, you know what, you can't burn out on something. You can't, you know what, he knew he was a great hockey player and that was his love, but he wanted him to try different things. So be like Wayne Gretzky, and especially his dad, and make yourself try different things. So what should we do to be a generalist? So we'll go through some stuff. These aren't all the different things, but these are the things that I found valuable looking back on my last 25 years. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread them out. If something in your career, if you're working in some area and it goes away, like ASP, like traditional ASP.NET, web forms. I mean, how many people did web forms back in the 2000s? We probably all did in some of our work. And by 2013, it had pretty much dried up from new development. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. And don't focus as much as you need to. I say there's a level of focus that is right, and that focus should be on the immediate need, not the long-term need. So focus on things that you're trying to do on a daily, a weekly, monthly basis, maybe for the project you're working on. And then when that project's done, start over again. Start refocusing on things. Don't bring your past experience forward. Learn and have fun going forward. The other thing is explore. I mean, you know, we tell our kids to explore, but we lose that exploration wonderment sometimes when we get to be adults. Keep exploring. I mean, ask and work with people that aren't like yourself. I mean, I'm a white male, and I love working with people that don't look like me because we all have different perspectives. So try that. Try finding teams and trying projects that don't fit into your normal, everyday, past experience kind of fit. So one thing that I had a mentor a number of years ago, and he stressed that for everything that I read, for every book or magazine that I read that was technical, I had to read 3 books or 3 magazines that weren't technical. So I would read a technical book on development, and then maybe I would read a book on business, or a book on design, or a book on nothing that was even remotely around my career. Maybe I read a book on art or something else, philosophy or something. So read different things. We seem to get bogged down in just reading development books and reading about architecture in software and stuff like that. But you really become wider and more valuable by reading and gaining non-technical knowledge. Go to events outside your norm. Now, this event is great. We're going to learn a lot about .NET and especially open source .NET. But when and if, I'll say at some point when we're all back to some kind of normalcy with this COVID-19 epidemic and pandemic, we're going to be getting back to going to events, in-person events, and try to get to some events that aren't part of your day-to-day knowledge. Now, maybe work won't help you with this, and you have to spend your own money, but I've spent lots of my own money going to events that weren't even in my wheelhouse for my career. I've been to some design, I've been to TEDx talks or TEDx events. Those are awesome. Find those, find things that you would probably never go to and make yourself go to some kind of event like that. Just do that for me. So this idea of, we've all heard polyglot. Now, polyglot is this term that means many languages. So in most people's eyes outside of our industry, it means that a person understands, is multilingual, understands many different spoken languages. But in our industry, it just means that they know a lot of different languages and frameworks and stuff, and be a polyglot, learn different things. So I'm gonna explain what I do. So every year I try to learn 3 new skills. So around beginning of January, I kind of sit down and think about what 3 skills I want to work on. Now, it doesn't mean that I will, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to get like a deep understanding of any one of those 3, but at least it gives me some focus that I need to learn some new things for the next 12 months. And for this year, I'll give you my insight into what I am learning in the 3 things. So the first is I'm trying to get more into containers and Kubernetes and that side of technology, because I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I want to get a little deeper knowledge. Now, I'm not going to get deep expert level knowledge, but I'm going to get enough knowledge to bring that experience and bring that knowledge into my skill set so I can connect it to other things. Remember I said be a connector. The next thing is I've always wanted to learn functional programming, and this year I've actually started making myself learn functional programming. Now, functional programming from a theoretical sense, and also F#, because for me, F# is an awesome language, and it can do things that if you're a traditional C# developer, you might get some new tricks to play around with F# due to its functional programming concepts. So I'm going to dig into F# this year, and I already have. And the last one is sometimes in the past, I bring a soft skill in. So this year, I am trying to be a better speaker. I'm trying to learn things. I'm trying to read books. So 2 books that I have on my desk right now that I think are great. One is Resonate by Nancy Duarte, and then the other one is Presentation Zen by Reynolds. The author's last name is Reynolds. Those 2 books, if you want to be a better speaker, are awesome. Presentation Zen and Resonate. So can't recommend those enough. So I want to be a better speaker. So the other thing that I do is I try to have 3 laptops in front of me all the time. And what I mean by that is we have 3 huge platforms that are in our industry. We have Windows, we have Mac, and we have Linux. And I have a large desk. You can't see it right now, but I have 3 computers. I have a Dell XPS 13, a newer laptop. I have Windows on. I have a MacBook Pro, and then I have an older XPS 15 that I put Ubuntu Linux on. And I have been using those 3 laptops for at least the last year to learn .NET Core, C# on .NET Core. I think if you're a .NET Core developer, you should at least have 2 laptops that you can program on. And I use Rider. I'm going to tell you, I love Rider. JetBrains made the best .NET IDE for me. I love it. Now some people love Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, and I'm not going to argue because everyone has a preference. But for me, Rider, I love Rider because it runs on all 3 platforms. It runs on all 3 of my laptops, and I get the same experience throughout the 3 different ways and the 3 operating systems. So highly recommend Rider and try that out. So this is the area that probably is a little controversial. So do I recommend that people work for new careers? I do. I think people should every so often push themselves into a new career. Now, that doesn't mean you have to leave your current company. There's lots of opportunities to do new things in the company that you're working for. You just have to find them, ask them, and work with people that are in those areas to have faith in you and some trust that you can come over and learn and become a better person, a wider generalist. So we'll talk about that. So in my career, I mean, I've had many different jobs, and some of them I didn't plan, and some of them I did plan. So I've been a developer. I mean, I have been really a developer for 25 years, but I've also had other titles in my career. I've been a trainer. I've been an architect. I've done technical sales. I actually, for 6 to, I think it was about 9 months, I actually was technical sales as a title and would go out and work with our salespeople and try to get business. Gave me a huge perspective on the salespeople. So that was an interesting job. I've also been a DBA and a database developer. And last, what I've done probably for the last 3 years, and what I'm currently doing is I'm a developer advocate. So I'm a leader of a developer relations team. So I've had a lot, and these probably aren't all of the titles that I've had, but these were the big ones that, looking back on my career, I didn't think I had this many titles. I didn't think I worked in this many areas until I actually went back and explored my past. So do different things. Try out different avenues that you need to make yourself better. I mean, by being a trainer, I had to learn how to do something really, really well in regards to what I was training. So it gave me the learning experience. It gave me that experience in how to learn. An architect, I had to rise above the code to take a look at things in a conceptual way So I had to look at what I was doing differently. Like I said, technical sales, totally different beast. But it gave me a perspective about the end user or the person that was buying the software, what they really were passionate about and cared about. And then you should always try to be a DBA or a database developer, even if you just have to do it for your own personal projects. Try to dig in and learn databases. I've been working with PASS, the organization called PASS, for 3 or 4 years. Join PASS, learn how to be a DBA, learn how to be a database professional or whatever area in that database that you want to work in. And then developer advocates, I mean, advocacy and relations, that's just where I have a passion. I love interacting with people and trying to make them better on the products and platforms that the company or organization that I'm working on. But remember, if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change. I mean, that's what you have to realize. You cannot change unless you change something. If you change nothing, nothing will change. It's a pretty basic concept, but people don't realize that. They go through day after day doing the same thing and thinking they're growing, but you're not growing unless you're changing in some ways. And also the last thing is, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a leader in a project or a leader in a division in your company, or take on project leadership or product leadership, you have to know a lot more than just development. You have to know how to lead people. You have to know DevOps. You have to know databases. You have to know a little bit about everything. So I would stress, if you want to get into a leadership position, you really need to get into this ability to change, to learn different things. Because if you take a look at most CEOs of Fortune 100 or 500 companies, they all started in some area and they all moved around throughout their organization and learned many different parts of the organization before they became CEO. And they had to do that because as CEO, they are running everything in their company, and they had to know a lot of wide knowledge. Now, didn't mean that they had a lot of deep knowledge in all their areas, but at least they knew something about and had some experience in each area. Strive for that. Strive to be that leader, if you become a leader, that has a wide set of knowledge. So if you think big, you get big. So remember to be a big fish in the ocean. And you are valuable. Everyone's valuable. If you're a specialist, you're valuable to the people that value that specialty. But if you're a generalist and you have a lot of knowledge around a lot of things, you're valuable to a whole lot more people. You're valuable because of your knowledge and because of your experience. So we're going to go back to Da Vinci, and I want to talk about this quote that he had. And it was around development of the complete mind. Now, he studied art and he studied science. And to him, they're all connected because he saw the breadth of everything. So learn that. Learn both sides. Learn the art, learn the science, and also learn the business. If you bring all three of those things together, you will have a great career. Now, one book that I would recommend that if you want to read about being a generalist, and this is a non-technical book, it's more around just business and just career and life. It's by David Epstein. It's called Range. And he started out writing a book about how to be a specialist. And by the end, he had switched and learned that being a generalist is actually more beneficial. Now, there are specialists that need to be in the world in his view, but most people need to be the generalists that bring all the specialties together. So I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate everything. One, I want to thank Bhaskar for asking me to do this keynote. Also, I want to say I hope everyone is safe and everyone is doing well. If you're not, if you are having problems with your job, if you're getting furloughed or laid off, I mean, I'm just going to say this once, Quicken Loans is looking for people. So if you do need some help, reach out to me. But I hope everyone is safe in this age and your family's safe, and we'll see each other on some point in the future face to face. But I just want to say thank you to everyone and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Chris. We had some Q&A in the portal, so I'll just go ahead and read them out for you.
Okay.
So people often become specialists because of comfort level and not having confidence to branch out. How can we build fundamentals to build confidence?
Yeah, I really think it comes down to two things. There's only two things in your life that will make you change yourself: the people you associate with and the things that you read. To be honest, that is the two things that I found in my life. And I was told that early and I didn't believe it. And it is. It's who you associate with and what you read, the books that you read, the publications that you read. So try to hang out. I don't mean lose all your friends, but hang out with some people that aren't like you, that maybe work in a different part of your company. Get to know people, maybe get to know people like online, explore different social media places that maybe you don't have knowledge about, that you want to get more knowledge in. But you can only change yourself. You have to make that change.
Yep. Thanks, Chris. So we have another question. In other fields, we specialize in broad areas like pets or cancer, not specific tools. Seems like CS specializes in tools, however. Are we spec the wrong thing?
Yeah, so this is interesting. So specialty, like digging in and only using one tool. I can't say that I mean, I've always used different tools. I've tried to, even though like for .NET, I love Writer. I do go out and try VS Code every once in a while if I need something, or I'll fall back to Visual Studio, the enterprise version of Visual Studio, because it does something I need it to. So yeah, I mean, yeah, explore different tools. I mean, I would never have tried out Writer if I didn't try to change and try different things out. And that's a great thing about VS Code, is a lot of people have gone to it, and it's not a tool for me, but it's a great tool, and people had to change to work in it. So it's all about change.
Cool. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.